Very happy to see a lot of familiar names out here, if not faces. Just a second while I adjust a few things here. Awesome. So we're just waiting for a few of our friends to join. Thanks so much for joining on time. And I would love to start on time as well. See, we continue our journey in trying to figure out which program are you going to go and join. And I'm going to be helping you do that today by considering two very critical aspects, which is your finances and your regions. You might ask like, hey, what's a big deal about it? I think I know. I'm going to go to US. I'm going to go to this university because my friend is there, senior is there, father went there, etc., etc. So you might have multiple reasons, right? But I'm going to show you a few things as well, which will bring to your attention that is very different. Now, see, this is a workshop. In case you guys want a webinar, I'm going to show you where to find the webinar as well. So this is a workshop. So what I really would like you to do is to work along with me and work on a few things as well, right? So we already got a lot of responses from you guys for your preferences in grad schools and which regions you want the grad schools in, but we haven't got it from everybody yet. So my colleague will put it in the chat, the link, and that's a link that you can access and share your preferences with us. By preferences, what we mean is like which country are you going, what program are you looking for, so that we can give you multiple options and tell you, hey, look, go to all these places, right? But today I'm going to give you additional information that can help you to make the decision about shortlisting your graduate school programs much easier for yourself. Okay, so we're first going to start with region, and this is Kritika for some of you who have just joined recently. And for the others, we have interacted a lot. I'm very happy to see a lot of you guys as well. So yeah, like I have a lot of things that I've done in the past, but today probably I come to you as a student, like how I was a student at Michigan long time ago. But of course, also your like guide, because right now I am helping my current students decide where to go because they've got a lot of admits and they're just wondering about where should they be up, finally deciding and choosing and all that. So it's a very nice time to be because choosing between multiple admits is not a bad thing, as compared to something else. So I am very much in the process, I should say. See, we're going to have these focus of the month sessions. We are in the month of April. Those of you who joined us now, please note that we've already done multiple sessions before here. And we did a lot more sessions before that as well, in the month of November, December as well. I'm going to show you in a minute where to access all of these for the new people. For the old people, this might be the time for you to actually look. Oops, we are a little bit ahead, aren't we? I wrote 2025. Like, I don't know. I always joke that as an admissions consultant, I'm always looking at fall 2024, and it's so crazy because when I work with undergraduate students, right, I'm looking at fall 2026. It looks as if I'm always living in the future. Sorry about that. This should actually mean fall 2024. Honestly, sometimes I don't know the year, so that's fine. I think you guys get the drift. So we have done a lot of these things. We did a research paper. We did like figuring out like what are the intakes and everything else. We did the internships and everything else as well. And of course, we are here, right? So all of these are available in the portal. Let me show you how to go to the portal directly right now. Okay, so why don't we just do that? All of you just please, I'm putting it in the chat so that you can open it along with me. In case you have some trouble, let me know and my team here can really help you to sort it out. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple things that I already have ready. Don't get so worried about the first article, the news article that you're seeing here. No, so we are first going to go and wait a sec. Oops. There is a reason why I have all these windows open, so it's not, do not worry. Like, okay, so one second, it just is, oops, finally. Okay, so I'm getting onto this lms.thecareerlab.com and you're going to encounter a screen like this. See a screen like that. It felt for a moment as if I used ChatGPT right now. So you're going to see a screen like this and click on Google. and sign in using like your email ID. Now, I already signed in as my email ID, so which is why I have, and I, being the admin, I have a lot of access to multiple courses. This is a course to which you would have access to, most of you. And this is a course that you should be like accessing. And all the things that we're talking about today, like, in fact, at any point of time, should you want to know like something more detailed and what happened, etc., feel free to go on this additional workshop on financing the higher studies, program specific series, country specific series, and even the last year's webinar, if any point of time you want to do that. Today is not a webinar, today is a workshop. So that's why you're going to be with me and you're going to go to this most important tools to help you assess your admission journey, right? And in that, you can either go to the application checklist right away, which we have ready for you, okay? So last week we did this, sorry, week or month, sorry, last month, I guess, we did this. And today we're going to do the most important things of these two right now, so that next month we can do this, right? So we are going in order in case you feel that, too many things are going on, don't worry. What are we doing? So for the newbies, we are trying to decide which program am I going to go and study. Okay. And I really want to present a very holistic view to you because that will be important in your understanding. Yeah. So 1 minute. Oh, there we go. So let me try to help you with, today we're going to help you with that particular part, right? So I want you guys to download these two things and keep it ready. I will call for it whenever it's needed. All right, but let's look at this 1 minute. There are some things that you have to keep in mind. It is not simple to decide a region or a school. You know why? Let me go here and show you. So this is like a ranking web of universities online, of course. And here is the number of universities by in the top ranks by the ordered by the countries in which they are. Okay. So now why do I keep always suggesting US is because the number of ranking for the US universities is really, really high. And they obviously have some of the highest universities. Okay. Unfortunately, nobody wants to go and study in China. Not for some time, actually. They did go earlier, in 2019 before COVID. Obviously, a lot of people were going to China to study for in a business school mainly, HKUST and your HUK, and then, some of the other ones and all, right? Many of the students were interested in that before, but not anymore. So that's why, US, UK, Australia, Canada, Netherlands, Switzerland, Hong Kong is not a famous option any longer because of obviously, being merged with China and everything else. Belgium, not so much, to be very honest, even though it has top universities. Singapore fell out of favor because of the stringent visa changes that happened almost like 4 years, 5 years ago. So definitely COVID affected it a lot. But even before that, Singapore had kind of closed the doors to international students. So there are not a lot of takers, So, and then Germany is definitely one of the higher ones because it has very highly specialized programs people love. And of course, Japan, if you don't mind learning the language. Brazil, if you're okay with Portuguese, but I don't have too many going to Japan, Japan and Brazil at the moment. But definitely Finland. Finland was favorite, as was Denmark, Norway, Italy, Spain, France, Sweden, right? So if you ask like, hey, what is your logic in bringing the universities, why don't you send me to Israel or South Korea? The point is that historically speaking, this is how the universities have been like always there, not just for ranking, but also in terms of availability of courses, research faculty, universities, etc., the infrastructure, everything that's needed. Okay. So that is where we maintain our top region list, if you ask me. Okay. Now, I want you to probably go down here into your application checklist, and you can actually go back and you can go to the particular section and look at like me, and then of course you can look at this section where we show you the most popular universities by country. Okay, so where do we show you that is we show you in places We show it to you where you're doing the researching, the program specifications, etc., like this. Okay. Or you can go back and then, you can also look at what we call as the bonus webinars and then pick up like the particular as a, requirement from there as well. So why am I showing this to you is because many people work in different ways. So that is where we have multiple options for people, At the end of the day, someone will come and say, I know everything. I just don't know this. So I'll say, fine, go and just find whatever you don't know yet. Okay. So if you have any confusion at all about, hey, where are you talking about the schools? I don't know. Go look at like this grad school. Have you finalized? And you'll see a lot of handouts that are needed. Okay. So this is a handout that I'm talking about in terms of the top universities, right? So when you look at it, we have taken the most popular universities based on our own set of people, all the other students who go, etc., and all that. And of course, like, by obviously by the ranking and so on in different places. So if at all today you're in this position, I don't know where to go and study, this is the place for you to start. Okay. And I gave you the proof, right? So the proof right here, and I'm going to put it in the chat for somebody if you're keen or interested. Let me see if I can do that. I think I can. All right. So if you guys are interested to like go check it out for later reference, this is the link right here. All right. So it's very straightforward, isn't it? Because there are so many universities and so many preferences and everything else right here, that's exactly where we are interested in the region. And we have a lot of choice of regions right now. So we said like, up to South Korea. Israel is not a bad option, but not at the moment. I'm sure you all know why. And so that's what. And by the way, like Israeli universities were very, very hard to get into even before. I had the pleasure of actually working with a couple students from there, during grad school, and really smart people. So anyway, not deviating too much. You have so many regions in the world. See, some of you are or some of you already know. I'm going to US, I'm going to UK, I'm going to Australia. All done, good. But there are somebody of you who don't know things. So it's for the benefit of you guys that I'm telling that all these things at the moment. But it's okay to start from that place as well, right? So if you're like going to have a lot of difficulty or understanding, then you're going to go over one by one on it. All right. Now, why should you think about the regions? Because see, honestly, you guys are going there because you think that you're going to get a better life than what you're probably having in India. And you really want to make more money and make a name and fame for yourself, etc. You have to understand what is happening all the time. Okay. This news is a little, it is only Feb 13. I keep following this news a lot. I can tell you that there have been a lot more recent changes and there's another news article which is much more recent, but this is a more comprehensive one. And I bring this to you because you have to understand what is happening in terms of immigration, visa policies, work studies, etc. Okay. Of course, we help you. And that's why we have all these worksheets where we tell you as well. And we have this country specific, uh, you know, um, like webinar series. Okay. So you might wonder, okay, so you guys are not going to tell me anything? No, we are, of course, going to tell you everything that you need to know. And you can look for it in the study abroad country specific series. All right. So when you go here, we tell you about what is the path to PR, how do you go, what is the visa policy, etc., etc. But please note that the visa policies are always changing. Don't come to me in September and say, Kritika, you never told me about this, right? No, it is your responsibility as a student in order to understand what's going to happen. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story here. And do you guys can you guys give me a guess of, I was in the United States for 5 years. Okay. And I did 2 masters. And I did like 4 internships and one full-time job in between. Okay. Now, I think you all know about a piece of paper called as I-20, right? So in your I-20 is nothing but a document which is proof that you have been what you call it legally accepted to enter the country. Here the country is the United States, and it's a proof that it's a piece of paper, a very important piece of paper. Okay, whatever is said on the I-20 is always supposed to be like a more important law, even more powerful than your visa and other things. Okay. So I told you already that I had so many changes. Can you guys guess like how many I-20s I would have got when I was in the United States? Any idea? Okay. Just to tell you again, I was there for 5 years, 2 masters, right? I have done 4 internships plus 1 full year of work in between the 5 years. And then I also had applied for a job, I got a job and everything else, but then decided to leave it and come back and all that. So I had that as well. So any guesses on the number of I-20 changes? Okay, so I'm getting some guesses. You can type to everybody if you don't mind. 4, 3, okay. Yeah, good guess. Anybody else? Come on, guys. Let's make it a little interactive. I know it's in the evening, but it's fun. 3, that's it. You're all thinking too small at the moment. Very small. 7, okay. 8, all right. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Okay, so I have to tell you that I have about like 17 different I-20 changes. Okay, CPT to OPT, OPT to like, full-time internship to this one, blah, 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 and blah, 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 etc., etc. Now, why am I telling you this is because you have to understand that when you're going abroad, it doesn't matter which country you go, okay? You have to have your papers on you all the time. It is like, actually as a tourist, you're even easier to be as a tourist because you just need your passport, visa, and couple things and money. That's it. You're out of the country. You get deported to your own country if something happens. So it's kind of easier if you're a tourist. But if you're going to be living there, which you will, so it matters a lot to to have the documents and everything ready. You are going to be living on that piece of paper. All right. So, which is why you should know right now how to start looking at all the tons of things that are happening out there. And I can't even tell you about the number of visa changes and everything that happens, which is exactly why when you go into the country specific series out here, you will see that, for example, let me take the example of, I don't know, Netherlands. Why not, because it's a wonderful country to go visit and even study. But sometimes it's not that great to even like live or something, right? So here, actually, you will hear the student speak and about like what she's doing and where she's going, etc., and all that. Okay, and you will hear her say and tell like what she's up to, how she's getting a job, etc., and so on and so forth. Okay, and in addition to that, right? 5 years totally, and then you have to you will hear her say like how she's working for the job, how much time she's taking, etc., etc. So you really have to do that research, and we have done it for you over there. Okay, so understanding the visa changes is going to be paramount, and I'll guarantee and tell you that it's going to change by the time that you go. There will be like more changes happening. Okay, so for example, one of the biggest things that have happened is the money. See, earlier Canada used to get like around $10,000 from every student who was going there, right? This was like a surety for them, so that the student could pay and live and blah 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 and all that, right? Now they want a minimum of almost like $20,635 Canadian dollars, suppose, right? And even like Germany wants this. All right. Earlier this wasn't there. So what you have to understand is all your regions are going to have so many different changes in the papers and the policies, but you have to be aware of them and you have to kind of like take it into account. Okay, so this kind of things is needed. So what should be your first way to do is please understand what is happening, what is a norm, right? And then go back and then look at all the other things that are happening in the world. All right, and see how does it affect you. Because quite honestly, one of my friends was joking that you are not going to get a US citizenship for 1 or 5 years. Okay, just imagine being in a country where you don't have the ability to vote. For some people, it's fine. For some people, they don't really hate it. I mean, they hate it, right? So it'll be like a third-rate citizen kind of a thing. So you really have to consider all those factors and how it affects you in terms of the region. So that is the second reason why it is so important to figure out the region, because you are taking a decision which is going to affect you for at least 3 to 5 years of your life, if not more. Okay. And what do I mean by that is because many of the master students get back the money, repay the loan, etc. within 4 years, right? It's very much possible if you're prudent enough about it and all that. And especially if you are a career lab student or you're working with us, what happens is that we teach you about how to be successful in grad school and avoid that loan. All right. So that's the only way is I keep on telling you profile building and all that, right? That's exactly one of the ways. But right now itself, we tell you, like, hey, look and think about the day that you're graduating. Today is 2024. By 2026, you guys, sorry, 2026, right? In December, you guys will be graduating if everything is going well. So where, like, imagine yourself, like, how it's going to be and what is happening and things like that, right? So don't think that, oh, going to masters, I'll just take some random program. My cousin went there, senior went there, etc. Right? I don't want you to have that mentality, but I want you to take in charge of your careers and go ahead with this. All right. Okay. One last thing. Why going and choosing the right region is so important. Okay. Now, don't tell me I spooked you, but I'm sure you guys read the news as well. Okay. And look at this part. This is very scary. But I also want to tell you that if you go and search for the number of Indian students who died in India, it's going to be really high as well. I have to tell you that when you're going abroad, you are at risk. And forget about whether it's India or abroad. It can happen in Pune, it can happen in Bangalore, what you're seeing. So you really will have to be very clear about what you're getting into. Okay? Some of the countries are much more, what you call it, safer than others. Some of them are not. It really is your perception of it. It's super important. So don't like, so then what will you do? You will consider safety as one of the important parameters. Yeah. All right. So let's go back here to our, webinar, the LMS portal, and let's please download the the region research worksheet right here, please. So it will just download, and it's downloading for me right now. And I get the region research worksheet 2024. Okay. So I hope that you all have downloaded, and you can just give me a thumbs up or just a yes in the chat. That'll be great. Oops. I'm going to open it. Give me a second while I open. Okay. It's open right now, and you can see this, right? So now, so I showed you a lot of things today, and what you have to understand is you have to look at two things. What is your short-term consideration? What is your long-term consideration? So when we looked at short-term, what do we mean? Short-term is I'm just going and studying there, right? Long-term is I'm going there and I'm going to be working there. So that's the difference in short-term and long-term. So what we request you to do is to consider many parameters. Example, location, like how does it matter? And we also tell you where can you find more information about it. You can definitely find information from the website, your friends, family, the internet, etc., and all that, right? So some of the things are pretty obvious. Like, so for example, if you want to go and research about Ann Arbor, I will just like go and ask Bing right now, and I will definitely ask ChatGPT about it. Okay. So 100%, this is where you should use AI to the maximum. I highly encourage AI use for research purposes because it just makes it easy and that is okay. but definitely not AI for writing. And I'll come to that a little later in a couple months from the line. But see, this is how you can use AI right now to help you with things. Is you saw all the parameters right now in your region research worksheet. Now you have to find the fact. Okay. Now, what is the fact? You have to find out whether Ann Arbor is rural or urban. Ann Arbor, what are the popular areas in Ann Arbor? What are the facilities and amenities that are available in Ann Arbor? And how easy it is for someone to commute to the graduate school in Ann Arbor? Where do graduate students live in Ann Arbor? Okay, how is the weather? Like, I will tell you, terrible actually, but it's fine, you get used to it. And what about food options? Thousand times better, honestly, Ann Arbor has some of the best food scenes in the entire country. So you want to think about it like that. Okay. For getting the facts, I will 100% recommend you to use AI. Okay. And let's go and look at that right now. I hope that everyone is like downloaded. Can you guys give me like a quick thumbs up or something? I'm so sorry, I'm not seeing anything. Or like even like a yes in the chat. Okay. All right. So maybe I'm not seeing anything because I'm in a different mode. Super. I'm now seeing everything. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody. All right. So let's go back and I'm going to show you about how to use your favorite tool of AI for making this region research super simple. Okay. And today I want you to use AI and then close your rest of the things as soon as possible as well. Okay, just give me a second. You know what? I have been like dying to know a lot more about this place, Rochester, because I spoke to their the AdCom of Simon Business School last Tuesday, right? And I really wanted to know more about Rochester, New York, right? So let's go to Bing and let's use AI tool. See, I don't know if you guys are using ChatGPT for it. ChatGPT, I have the older version, and that doesn't like necessarily help me that much. So when I say older version, yeah, I don't have the paid one as of yet, and that's fine too because I don't use it that much like you guys do. So anyway, coming to this, right? Now I use Bing a lot though, but for certain things. I asked about Rochester and immediately gave me all the answers. Now, if I were you guys and if I want to like find out the facts about it, this is what I'm going to do. I'll just copy some of the things or I'll type out some of the things, I will say, tell me if Rochester is urban, where do students, so, okay, I can ask questions of it. All right. And every time I'm asking a question, I can ask it to support it with a link and everything else. Okay. So I'll say, hey, give me short answers. All right. So, and I can say that. So I would say, give me short answers and tell me where do graduate students, live when they go to, let's say, I don't know, you want University of Rochester or Rochester Institute of Technology, it doesn't matter, right? I'm going to just put it like this. Rochester Institute of Technology. So then, I can get the answer that I'm looking for. Okay, and then if I want to know more, I can just go and then do it. So I would 100% recommend you to use AI right now in order to help you about different things that you want to know because it's your search buddy. All right. So now I know, right? Immediately, like, okay, I have like a lot of off-campus housing that's available. And then on campus is also there, but off campus is available for graduate students, etc., etc. And then I can get all the things and I get like 11 more things, to search. In just a second, it's going to help you. So please use AI because it helps you for the research. And then you please go to the RIT and do the research. It's because it's so easy for you to figure out the information that you wanted. All right. So this is how we end up doing research of multiple schools in less than like 30 minutes. You know, if you have 30 minutes, you're done. All right. So when it comes to like, wait a second. Yeah. So you're all seeing this beautiful housing and everything else and all that, and everything else. So it's pretty easy. It's a pretty nice, neat tool for you to figure out what's needed. Okay. Now let's go to some of the trickier stuff on the region research that's available. Because we want to understand the visa, right? See, I am planning to go study at RIT in the United States for a master's in computer science. Okay. I will graduate in fall of 2026. How long will it take to get the work study visa? Please share a timeline, and please give me links as well. So that's it. So when you start doing this becomes your easiest way of like researching and figuring out and so on. Okay. So you get like entire things. In fact, we are working on a AI for some of the things that we have already done so that you'll have more authentic information. But to be very honest, this is not bad as a good, it's as a good start. It's okay. Okay. For someone who doesn't understand at all, right? It's a very good start to get aware of what's the process, how long does it take, where can I go and get information, and so on. Okay. See how cool this is. This is one of the best features of Gen AI that I love and 100% use it. Then, of course, please, for God's sake, go look at the other links and please get an understanding of multiple requirements, everything else, and all that. Okay. And then I can go on and keep on expanding on multiple things accordingly. I hope you guys are looking at your Excel sheets at the moment, the region research worksheets. And of course, you have the other options too, right? So for example, hey, I changed my mind. I am moving to Quebec in Canada. Okay, do I need to know French? Uh, how do I get a residence permit in Quebec? See, immediately it switched to French and said bien sûr, right? And then it started with all these things, no? So that's what is really nice about using and leveraging the power of Gen AI in order to help you about the region research, as well as like figuring out some of the things about your own understanding of the country, the places, everything else and all. Okay. So this is how you do, tell me about job opportunities for mechanical engineers, you know, graduate in the greater Toronto area. So then I'll get like even more ideas, other things, and so on. Okay, so use this as much as you can. Of course, you could have Google as well, but I feel that this is more fun and it is faster. And of course, you can use multiple other chat engines and search engines as well. But this is one of the effective ways by which you get a little bit of clarity and you can get started with your research process without wasting a lot of time. Okay, so with that, I'm moving on to the next part. So how do you work on your region research worksheet? It's super simple. The facts that you wanted are easily acquired through the research that you did right now. And it's very simple and straightforward. Okay, so this all of it can be plugged into your research form that you have. Okay, And then, of course, you can add your comment. Say, for example, we saw, right? Canada was the last one that we saw. And my tool was telling that, no, you don't need, you need French requirement, blah, 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 etc., right? So then I can make a decision. Do I like say, I think I need to learn French. I'm not willing to put in the effort, or I am willing to put in the effort, and so on and so forth. Okay. So that way is something that you can do. All right. So when you're able to do that, what happens is, then it becomes easier for you to fill the facts, and the comments, and then make an understanding of what's going to happen in the short term when you're studying, what's going to happen in the long term when you're going to go and work there. Okay. So that is something that you really, really want to consider. So I hope that you guys have more clarity about how to fill the sheet. Yeah. Quick, show of hands, show of thumbs, etc. Some reactions, questions, anybody? Okay. Yeah, pin drop silence either means that it was too boring or you didn't hear me. All right, so yeah, okay, I can see that a lot of you can see that. Cool. Do not come at a later point of time and think that, oh, I should have thought about this before, I should have seen this before, etc. I'm really emphasizing this is because I see this a lot happening in my admits. So, for example, I'll tell you the story of this person who's deciding between one was definitely Ross, another was Kellogg, and the third school, I'm so sorry, I forgot at the moment. So between the three schools, obviously they were like only debating between Ross and Kellogg, right? And when we were discussing, right, they said like, "Oh my God, I really wish I could have gone to New York City and not stuck in the Midwest." Okay, so because note that now you may not know the decision, but it's so different. And the same thing, whether you're in Netherlands, whether you're in Germany, where, I hope you understand history. So the East Germany versus West Germany, Western Germany is still much developed as compared to the Eastern Germany, German regions. So there are some what we call as visible and markable differences between the universities that you find on different regions. So all of these are extra critical. And you might wonder, okay, like, so, all right, enough of the lecture. So how does it matter? Because it does matter when it comes to the finances that are there. All right. Already, as you saw in the news article before that I showed you, like how the Canadian government and German governments have been like increasing the amount of money they're living, etc., and all that. You have to note that the region definitely 100% influences the funding. Okay, so that is exactly why we have this amazing let's go back to where we were. Yeah, so that's why we have the cost of attendance calculator for grad school. Okay, and before I delve deeper into it, honestly, I'm gonna ask you guys a question. How many of you are winging it, meaning that you're gonna borrow everything from your family and like take like a huge loan and go for masters? You can just type like me to me, like, just put it to me directly. Yes. Okay. So you guys have to be very, very like, clear that I'm going to be telling you ways of like how you are going to do that. Right. But you have to be very clear about the risk you're willing to take for it and the cost that you're getting into. Okay. So that's why we have this beautiful cost of attendance calculator. Here now I'm going to make like a quick change. So open the calculator, like the cost of attendance calculation worksheet, please, quickly. And, to be very honest, this would be very useful provided you know which one particular university you want to get into. So then it becomes easy. But if you don't know wherever you want to go, etc., right, then it will be like little hard. Okay. Meaning you don't even know which university to go, then how can you go and check the cost? Right? That's what I mean. So decide one university, pick one university and try to find out how much it costs. So I'll also tell you how the again like the chat GPTs of the world, the Gen AI tools will be super helpful here for helping you for doing this as well. Okay. So I'm gonna share my cost of attendance calculator right now, which I downloaded from the pointer that I showed you right now. And let's make it bigger. Let's enable it as well. Okay. So now that you're seeing it, super easy. Look at the sample and very easy for you. We have actually put in a lot more things, and we have also made you the provision of adding any more things you wanted. Okay. So let's look at like, so we have given you the example of a state, public, private, etc., etc., etc. And of course, the cost is from fall 2023. It doesn't matter. It just keeps going up. Okay, so it doesn't matter. That's the reason, because you can easily assume that tuition is going to be 5 to 8% higher than the previous year, if not more. Okay, that's like a rule of thumb. 100%. I have been doing this for a very long time, and I was in grad school for a very long time. So I know this. How it happens. It always it's gonna go up. So honestly, when I was studying in Ann Arbor, uh, the I saw this happening. Like first term, I paid 14,000 something, and I'll tell you that story. Like 100% promise. I'll tell you the story probably next time. Like about my funding story, is that I did not have enough money for anything else. Like after, this were the days where they pay for the tuition only. And of course, like a few things, right? Rest of it is like on you. I did not have money, like except to pay the first month rent. Nothing I had. I had like $35 left or something for groceries and things like that. So I really had to make a lot of money and everything else. Okay, so I understand where you guys come from. So the first year it was 14,000, the first semester. By the time I quit, it was 19,000 something. Okay, and now it's so much higher, and so on and so forth. And again, it depends on the thing and so on and so forth, right? So we have done a very extensive calculation to show what it is. Now what you guys can do, if you want, just copy it and change your numbers, and then go ahead and get this thing done for your respective school wherever it is. Okay, so it's a super simple option that tells you about what does it take. Because now let's go back to our friend and ask our friend in terms of, all right, can you tell me the cost of attendance for MS in why not aerospace engineering at the, let's say, at okay, University of Michigan, why not, because I can also get an idea of what it is and how much it has changed. Okay, now I want to show you one thing. Whenever you get like these kind of things, if I am in your position, I am probably going to go and look at the most important links, which are the direct links. So the direct links are going to be aerospace engineering and ro.umich.edu. So I'm going to go to that link to check, not some random links and so on, because please note that Office of the Registrar typically is the one who will tell you about how much it is and all that. See, it is for full term, half term, etc. Right? See, this is just for one particular, what you call it as Rackham is a graduate school, but there are, UMich has like 19 other schools that are there, right? So let's say that you are going to, oops, okay, where was it? Huh. Let's say, oh, it's getting hidden. The Zoom thing is hiding it for me. 1 minute. College of Engineering, right? And it's going to be a full term, and fall is a full term, etc. Graduate level, apply. So then you can see how much is the cost, and they'll say the cost of attendance, so and so on. Okay. So please note that you will be a Michigan non-resident. So everything is double for you. Okay. So that's how it happens. And you can even see the cost of attendance, which is very clear and mentioned everything else and all that. All right. So it will include your tuition and the fees, which is what you saw right now, 29,000 something. It'll include the living on campus, off campus, etc. Most of the international students live off campus because it's cheaper. And books and all that, typically you will use the library, and other things you won't pay money. Transportation is typically like, it depends. Sometimes you have to have a car, otherwise it's not possible, and so on. So you can use all the resources that is available for you in order to take your decision. Okay. Okay, any questions? Okay, so I'm going to be addressing how the funding works now, because you all know how much it costs to go there. So what about funding options? So this is one of the most important aspect as well when you're talking about going to business school. So let's go back now and just see like where we were quickly. So yes, of course, we know how to enter the classroom and blah, blah. And of course, we have covered a bunch of stuff. Okay. Now, how cool is it? So now I have your attention, right? If you want to know how to fund and have the scholarship, you have to understand all that before. Okay, so which is done. So let's go and look at how to fund and what's the way forward, right? See, you have to understand that, selecting the right program for yourself is 100% the first step, the first prudent step towards getting your right, funding and everything else. So this is the most critical step. Choose the right program for yourself. Okay. And you're all attending this particular one, and you all know when the deadline is. I keep on telling you, but just a reminder. I hope that you guys are working on profile building and taking the GRE or the GMAT accordingly. I really hope you're doing that. Okay, because on April, right, we are going to focus on more of your grades and other projects and everything else. And of course, taking TOEFL in May and June, right? Because in July onwards, we start with the application. So if you're very serious about things, you'll be like working in this fashion with me. And of course, spring, guys, not too many of you, so I'm going to just skip it. Like approach us, etc. We saw the region. This was shown some last time also, but these kind of handouts are there. I already showed you where to access it. Go ahead and check it out. If you're somebody who's so confused, what we did is we took the most popular countries to which our clients are going, and obviously they compare all of them for your benefit. And this is something that we also discussed last time in terms of how to work on it, especially when we were thinking about the goals. Okay, and now how did we work on it? That's where your region research worksheet came into being. Okay, so I'm going to take a small pause here for a quick water break, but can you guys tell me like what's going on, what you're thinking right now? Is this something that you already knew? Shall we like move faster? Okay. For those of you who don't really care about your cost at the moment, probably this might be a little different, but if you're somebody who is going to go abroad on your own money or loan and other things, you really want to pay attention to this. Okay. So, yeah, someone says like, can you go to the fall timeline? Okay, sure. Yes, this is a fall timeline. See, people will be like, I know what to do, right? I know how to take TOEFL. It's not about knowing, it's about doing. Take it and get the score. All right. It's not about like knowing what to do, but it's actual action that you're taking that matters, especially when it comes to all these things, right? Okay. So I'm just going to like go ahead right now quickly, because we do have a lot of ground to cover in our funding, which is also very important. So we saw the region. Please think logically, long term, not just immediate Okay. See, I have to tell you, we hesitated in sending people to some other random, places before. We still do. We don't send anybody to any place randomly. Of course, you can decide wherever you want to go, but I'm going to come and question your decision and see that are you comfortable with the decision? Because ultimately you should be comfortable. You should know what you're getting into. Okay. For some of you, it might mean that you're getting into a loan. You are going into a region where you are dependent on a work permit visa, and you're doing that. So that's a very important, step that you'll have to take into account. Okay, funding. Funding is by merit, simple as that. Okay, the easiest funding that happens is that knowing how to plan for it beforehand. Okay, I'm going to give you a moment to read the things and note it. See, we have a lot of funding partners, and they give a lot of loans, etc., and all that. But as I tell you proudly, many of my students get some of these things, and they don't have to depend on a loan any longer. If you are smart enough, you will not be paying for the masters. You will get into a teaching assistantship, research assistantship, etc. I will show you in a second. Now, finances are very dependent on the type of program. Typically, 1-year programs, etc., like an MING, etc., do not have any fundings opportunities. Longer programs will have some kind of funding associated with it sometimes, but not the shorter programs, because the shorter programs, completing the course itself will be too much. So the type of the program, the duration of the program affects it a lot. Whether it's a public university, private university, you also MIT. MIT is very, very expensive. For whether you're a US citizen or an international citizen is the same. Okay. Whereas
The
you,
screen is paused.
if you are, within the, oh, sorry, my bad. Someone said, oh, the screen is frozen. Is it? Why is it frozen? Oops. Let me just share once more. Thanks so much for. And I know that some other questions have come in. I'll just definitely answer them. Just give me a second. See, this is what I was showing. Sorry. Before the screen stopped moving. Yeah, thanks. Thank you so much for pointing that out. I'll give you guys one more minute to read this. See, this is just prudential financial, right? Planning. But I'll tell you like how many people wasted. Okay, I'll give you one idea of this. But see, I wouldn't say necessarily wasting, right? But maybe this is the first time you're having the financial independence or something. You're out of your country, your comfort zone. You're far away from your parents or things like that. So one of my friends got 2 dogs during grad school because his parents never allowed him to have a dog. And did you know how expensive it is? And I'll also tell you this, that dog by mistake ate something. I don't know what it is. It just ate something, swallowed something. And they had to take it to the vet, and they didn't have any pet insurance. Okay. So they put like around, I still remember, like $2,200 something for like taking that object out of the dog. So that I would say is unnecessary expense. Okay. But yeah, like, I mean, you do whatever it is, right? But that's what I mean. When you're going to another country, you might be tempted to do a lot more things and all that. So another friend of mine would, this guy would go on a trip like almost every month. And we all were like wondering how did he manage to do that, because grad school can be very tough as well. But he made it happen. So he made it happen by, certain ways, etc. And then, of course, we had a friends like whose parents would, like, they didn't, the parents sent like help for them. and that help would cook and clean and everything else and all that. So of course we had like students like that as well. So you'll find all kinds of students in the world. It's really fun. Right. Thanks so much for telling me that it was frozen. Now I hope it's not. Yes. So coming to this, no, there are just few key factors which is going to decide the finances. If I go to Germany, automatically my costs are coming down, but then the other factors are going like very different. Like I have to learn German, right? So on. So financial like factors are, as you saw, the tuition and everything else you saw in the cost of finance and all that, right? So the few points are very important, and of course there are so many others. So that is exactly where you'll have to understand the different two school types. A private university and in a place like New York can cost a bomb, literally. Okay. See, I also assist undergraduate students. Okay. Do you guys know how much they pay in a typical like Ivy League school like Columbia, right? They pay close to $75,000 a year only in tuition, nothing else. Okay, so it's crazy. I have to admit that it's crazy. And don't get fooled by a state versus public versus private. Some of the like state universities are also very expensive. So it's not like something is cheaper than the other or something of that sort. Okay, so go look it and then get a better understanding. Europe tends to be much more cheaper, obviously, but it has its problems. Okay, US has been having, Europe has been having a lot of problems in multiple things. So that's why we show you all the countries, which matter, of course, here, which people are typically looking for always. Okay. The same way, look at the top countries in order to give you an idea of like how much can you expect to pay on the same terms. Okay. Like, so on. Okay. $2,500 in New York is actually cheap. Really. You will not even get like a matchbox size room or something for $2,000 in New York City. It is very expensive, like LA, New York, and your top university, like top cities like Boston, Washington DC. All of them are super expensive. Even Houston, right? So that's where you really want to understand the impact of the region, because I did tell you that the region makes a lot of difference. I want to give you guys a moment to live with this, because this is actually as per last year. So it's going to change this year. So this is an example of living in California, LA region. So you have to understand that what I like to think about is like a relative cost of living, because your cost of living will decide on the city. So for example, living in Bangalore versus Mumbai versus Delhi versus Chennai, right? I would say that you can find cheaper houses in Chennai for like probably, I don't know, maybe two-thirds of the cost that you find in Bangalore, or even cheaper. Even schools might be cheaper in Chennai, correct? The food too might be cheaper in Chennai, correct? But then it depends on where you go and where you're searching. So 100% I can also find cheap accommodations in Bangalore, but then I might have to go far away from it. Similarly, 100% I can find like cheap accommodations in New York City, right? So when I was staying in New York City, I was just doing research, and the cheapest hotel that I could find would be costing around $200 or $150 something. Okay, so it really depends on many other factors. So that's the cheapest actually. So, and you can really see like how it changes as per different ones. So these are like just 5 critical things that you need, and I want you to keep in mind that don't think, oh, California is so nice, I'm gonna go. It's not. It is undergoing a lot of problems, and especially housing crisis and so on. Okay, so this is exactly where the region will determine the cost. All right. So now that you know all this, okay, go ahead and use our cost of attendance calculator. Go ahead and watch these kind of webinars that we already have like put up for you. And we have done this in each of the country specific series so that you will understand. Anywhere it's around 1,200 is minimum that you can expect in a top city. Okay. And the cost of abundance calculator and so on. Now, I want you to pay attention to this, because don't come and tell me that I wish I had known this before and so on. At the end of the day, this, my friends, are the most crucial way of funding yourself. I would 100% want you guys to do this and save on this. Okay. For this is super simple. Build your profile, get me on a 335 or even 340 score in GRE. Okay, this is all the thing. Get me 5 research papers. Go get patents. Go work on the best projects. Right? Go show your enthusiasm. Go build a YouTube channel. Go build a drone. Right? So it is all about profile. Very simple. I will say, okay, yes, we have partners and everything else and all, but I want you to take a zero loan later on in life. Okay, I want you guys to be set up for careers. So aim for that. I know your parents are great and they are sponsoring you, etc., etc. That's awesome, but you should actually be studying on your own and using your own money and intelligence and skills in order to fund yourself. So you are going to learn how to do all these things today. Okay. While starting, yes, it's going to be your parents' funds, your sponsors' funds, whoever it is, the good person who's doing it. Why do I say good person? Is because only Indians have this habit of sponsoring for grad school. Americans take a loan. Then French guys, German guys, Koreans, everybody take a loan. Indians probably were, so some Chinese had their parents funding them, but some of them didn't. Like some of them had governments funding them, etc. But some of them didn't, obviously. Indians were the highest majority where their parents would fund them. Okay. So that's why I'm saying, let's be prudent and let's see what you have to do in order to get all these things done. All right. So seatbelts fastened. Let's go deeper into it right now. I personally believe that, yes, all these are good options, right? But you should not need to take any of these. Okay. Now, a personal savings, obviously, is there from your anybody like your parents, spouse, family, blah, 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 etc., and so on. And then, your education loans from the banks are great means. See, when I say personal, sorry, let me just erase all of it. Sorry. When I say personal savings, I mean like the money you would have earned. Loans from sponsors, yes, I know your parents love you a lot, but they're still like somebody else according to the law. So that is one thing. You can get education loans from banks, sorry, and then you have an NBFC partner. I'll talk about it. You can get the loan from the grad school. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about all these. But first, get these things. All of these are merit-based. Okay, this will cover your tuition. This will also cover your tuition plus your living expenses and so on, right? All of these. So the stipend that you get from it is enough to survive. Scholarships and fellowships are given to less than 2 or 3 people in a department. So unless you're exceptional, you're not going to get it. Okay. I have had only 2 people get a fellowship on admission, but I've had like definitely 90% of the people very successful in getting assistantships later on. Okay. So scholarships and fellowships are limited. Okay. Whereas research assistantships and teaching assistantships, you have many options and you can always work with a professor and get it. Part-time work will mean that you can only work for 20 hours a week, and it will be typically like, minimum age, like around $13, etc., etc., and only for 20 hours a week. So it will be like very, very tough. Okay. Scholarships, sponsorships and grants will be through the professors. Internships is again going to be merit-based, and this is going to come at a later point of time, but it's actually significant to save the money and give off. Okay, so for example, I earned about like $6,000 in the summer, and I paid off my loan that I took. Right, so that was something that was very, very nice. And then of course, later on I used the summer money for multiple things, to travel around the US. Okay, and so on. Okay, so internships are like a very good way. All of these are merit based. That means that unless you have good grades and everything else going good in the profile, you won't be seeing these. The only thing you might be seeing will be the part-time work. See, the part-time work is also, I would say, more like, for example, you would be working in a library stacking books. You could be grading somebody's papers. You could be working in a coffee shop. You could be working on the campus only. Like, all of these are university-run organizations. Okay, so you can't go and work for a petrol pump or something like that, right? You will be working only on the on-campus establishments. All right. So a lot of the students, right, would work in a gym, as like, in order to let somebody in, as a receptionist, as a support specialist, and so on. Okay. So I worked as a Flash programmer for a professor in the geography department. It was really fun for some time. I worked as there was something called a C tools, which is like your Coursera, right? In the olden days. But the C tools was used for like hosting all the courses in the university. So it was like your LMS portal, no? Like the portal that you're seeing right now. So they needed support and everything else. They retired it actually, obviously, because it's been more than 20 years. But yeah. So I used to be like a support specialist for it once upon a time for the first 1 month. Because I told you, right? I had no money. So yeah, I will tell you the story later if you guys keep coming to the focus sessions. But anyway, coming to this. This is what you have to remember. Let me also make it a little cleaner. And there you go. Okay, so except for the part-time job, everything else would be 100% merit based. So don't even think of anything else beyond this. These are the best ways to fund your masters. Of course, then comes all the other things that are there. Okay, so yeah, I hope that that clears things. And so, here's like an example of what you do, how to like research assistantship is the best because you get to do the research and you also get money for it. And I was research assistantship throughout, so it was really fun. Yeah, some days I wish I can go back to the younger self, right, and relive those days. But yes, okay. On campus work is what I told you is like already working on the premises. Yeah. See, you might wonder, like, how does she remember this exactly? Because see, these are what we call as legal jargon. Because when you go and sign your master's, sorry, like your master's I-20 and everything else and all that, and when you go see your visa clauses and all, no, there will be clauses saying that it has to be on premises, owned by the school, owned by the university, and so on. So that's why I'm so specific about the term that we use here. Now, so yeah, these are some of the things that you can think about, and we'll be like sharing this with you so that you can go and do it at your own leisure. This is typically for the US. You can see that so many hours are only allowed. See, you might ask, like, why are they allowing only 20 hours per week? Then when will you study? You are supposed to be a full-time student doing 40 hours per week of studying. So then where do you have the time? Okay, 20 hours itself is too much. You'll be exhausted, literally. There'll not be too much time to do, right? That's where when I got my research assistantship, I was able to travel and have fun and all that. But till then, the working and how I got my research assistantship, that's another story for another day. But yeah, maybe you want to keep that in mind for my next session. All right, 100%. I'll tell you the story of how I got the research assistantship. But anyway, moving forward, you have to note that there are limits on how much you can work during the master's program. So this will only cover the living expenses. So living expenses around $800, $600, something like that. Okay. All right. So let's move on quickly. There are scholarships available, but only the really bright ones are going to get it. And some of the scholarships will not cover the entire amount that is needed for you. So that's another factor to consider. Okay. So with this, let's go and quickly start answering all the questions. So, sorry. Yeah, somebody had asked about scholarship, and I think it's all answered right now. So, okay. One of you is not able to access the course, and you say that, okay, so we're going to set that for you. We will help you for it. Okay, no worries. And let's go to somebody else here. What about the part-time jobs in Europe, right? That's what it's going to be tough. Like, to see, this is what it is, no? Germany is kind of like Netherlands, Denmark, and all that a little bit. You also have limitations. You can't just go and see. Obviously, you can only work when you know Dutch or German or like French in the Canadian Quebec and other regions. So then, Netherlands can be like, if at all you want a benchmark, look at it as Germany, right? Because very similar in terms of cost and living and everything else, as is Denmark, Finland, Norway, and all that. It's just a ballpark. It can be like a plus or minus, like I would say plus or minus 10%, but very similar. Okay, let's go to what do you mean by merit? Merit means everything in your profile, no? Academic excellence, research experience, professional awards, accolades that you've got, extracurricular activities, internships, everything you bring to the table. Can I get into a good university with 2.7 on 4 GPA? See, these are all very like hypothetical questions because I'll ask you, what do you mean by good university? What do you mean by good scholarship? Okay, where are you applying? Because it's so different. And you all saw that, how to do it, isn't it? So here's a good question. How do they check if you want to have a TA and RA? Okay, now probably I have to tell the story of the RA, right? RA can happen only when you work with the professor and show your metal to them. So I worked with the professor on a free project, did really well, and he became my advisor throughout later on. Okay, many of my students would get sorry, my friends would get like highest grades in one class, and then they become a teaching assistant in that. So you can't become a teaching assistant unless you get like the A plus O and the highest levels. Okay, in everything, right? In that class. Only then you'll be a teaching assistant. Even a grader, you need to have had like higher A's to get into that. So that's what we mean by merit. Okay. Do they check undergraduate grades? Absolutely. Because when you go, you have nothing else. No. Undergraduate grades, research experience, papers, the kind of projects that you worked on already. What skills do you know? Like how good are you? Like for example, are you really good at Gen AI? It might be a good skill. Here's a good idea for you all. A lot of professors are looking at using LLMs for their courses. So they will need programmers in AI in order to help them with their courses. Okay, so you guys can like start working on such things. So that's how it works. All right, so going back to where we were. Sorry, give me a second, please. Okay. So, all right, coming to the other scholarships, very difficult to get. And oh yeah, I was going to show you the yeah, other things as well. I will. So the deal about the scholarships is it's going to differ on the university, country, and the program to which you're applying. You need to be good, and you need to be really, really good in order to get this. Otherwise, it just doesn't happen. Okay. So in my program, when I joined, right, I was the topper of my college, blah, blah, blah. So were all the people who came. One guy was from Pakistan, one was from Malaysia, one from Taiwan, one from originally Sri Lanka, but family settled in Canada, so Canadian. And then I remember one guy was from Germany. Okay, all of these guys were like literally like I would say stars. Very competitive in the first. And I used to work with other students too, who come from all the other departments and everything else. So, for example, if you are going to take, say, computer science, you will have students coming from mechanical and computer science and electronics and computer engineering and aerospace, everybody coming and taking a class. Okay, so it doesn't matter. So they are smart. So then what happens is you have to be smarter, you have to understand the situation, and you're always like competing against yourself, not them. Okay, so please note that don't come and say, oh, I need a scholarship. I'll say, like, why should I give you a scholarship? What do you have to deserve a scholarship? All right, so yes, there are a few need-based scholarship as well, but it's very rare. So for example, we had a women Society of Women Engineers scholarship. This was only for Hispanic women who were coming from low income background. We had, I remember one more for the, I forgot the name of that, one lady, like one alum had given, she had given it in the memory of her, son who attended and who died and who was like working in that specific field. Okay, so like that. And then, of course, I already told you about background. So it can be a certain gender orientation, identity, even ethnicity. So I had this alum who pledged money for somebody who was like him, right? So you like definitely all of these, you have to show them why you deserve the scholarship. Okay. And then last but not the least, loans. These are loans, and you will be having the loan providers coming and telling you things. But as I told you, right now you please work towards getting all these things and like settling your loan at the earliest. Because we don't want you to have like this huge debt on your head and all that. And we know that you're very smart enough to like work on things and make it happen. Okay. So there are multiple loans, and we'll be having very detailed webinars on loans later on. I would want you to go check these out as well. However, one of the critical factors to know is you have to understand that banking finance corporations make it easier for you to get a loan because there's no collateral needed and it's based on your potential. They have a flexible approach. They cover like more, the coverage is more, meaning that they will cover the tuition fees plus the cost of ordinance, living expenses, etc. Some of the banks in India will cover only tuition. So then what do you do about the rest? How are we going to fly there? All right. So we have many providers and these keep changing over the years. So yeah, we had somebody called Oxylo and so on. So I would just say that be aware of what it is right now. Go look at it. These are all details available. And then, figure out what you need because you have to cover everything. Because if everything is not covered, then it's going to be extremely difficult for you and to see what's happening and so on. Okay. So we give you like a checklist to tell you like what should you be checking because every loan is different. It depends on you, your family's history of with money, etc., etc., and all that. But you should decide, where are you going makes a big difference. This is why we also tell you, please go to top universities. That should be your aim, all right? Put some hard work hard, get a good GRE score, make it happen, and please use it in order to get into better universities. All right. Please know what are the different types of loans and which are they giving you, how to repay it, how long are they giving you for repayment, what other student support are they giving you, etc. Is very, very critical. Okay. And these are some of the pre-departure costs that happens. This itself can be easily around 10, I would say it's on where you go 5 lakhs. Okay. But actually it's more because you saw in Canada, right? You needed the $10,000 and all that. I mean, only this can be this, but then you also have a tuition fee separate. I'm only talking about, if you remove tuition fees, all the others can be this much plus some more because you have to give a deposit, etc. and all that. Okay. So there's a lot of money transactions involved, which we want you to start thinking right now. Don't come and say that, oh, I wish I thought about it later. Okay. So yeah, so these are some of the things which you will refresh when you're coming again in the month of December. And definitely right now in April, right? Because many of my students are going right now and putting all the money together and so on. So where are you right now? You guys should have honestly been serious about GRE. I cannot emphasize it enough. How many of you are not taking it seriously for the GRE? See, I'll give you an option today itself. If you're not taking GRE, then you should start looking at programs without GRE right now itself, because it's going to be super competitive next year. A lot of the programs are back with the requirements of GRE, as we saw in this cycle itself. So they're going to need it. And if you say that, oh, I'm going to go to a program which doesn't require GRE, note that they're going to take a lot of emphasis on your GPA. Okay. So, yeah, that's pretty much a lot of things that I wanted to share with you all. And one last thing before I go away is a lot of you had doubts about RA and TA and all. See, I would say that at this point of time, why don't you ask our friend, ChatGPT for it? But I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm going to show you where you can find a lot more information. Okay. So every school will have, go to your favorite school, whichever school you're targeting, and go and search for fellowships and assistantships. So you will get an understanding of what it is, how long does it take, blah, 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 etc. and all that. Okay, do note that it is like a job. It is a job. Okay, so here are some of the examples of what to do, etc. and so on. Fine. So that brings us to kind of the last questions. Yeah, what they check is yeah, they would have worked with you and known what you're doing, etc. and all that before they take you as RA. To become an RA is much tougher than to become a TA. Okay, because it's not like TA is not good or something, but RA means TA means that you have to do research, go teach, and then study also and all that. RA means that you get this opportunity to do research and then go about it. All right, guys, I understand that you might have a lot of questions and you want to reach out to us. See, please note that we are a professional organization. We request you to interact with us professionally, meaning that when you're sending us an email, please say, dear, Aspire Higher team, or dear, who spoke to you before, etc. All right, and ask your question. Start learning to interact with us in a professional manner. Don't say, give me a call. So we're not going to give you a call randomly. All right. So we want to understand what's your requirement? Why do you want to talk to us? All right. So because half of the information and all of the information is available in these facilities. And that's why we have these focus hours. Okay. And the number of focus hours will become much more higher. And you have opportunities as well, right? But you have to understand that as a professional organization, we would need time to respond to you, and we would request you to use the right channels to mail us and ask us. Okay. So if you have any further doubts, definitely mail us, but I would want to see a professional email from you all. I don't want this one-liner say call me, etc. No, this is not customer support. Are you going to go to a doctor or a lawyer, or forget about it? Are you going to go to your professor, your graduate student office, your career center, and say, hey, talk to me? No, right? So I don't. If you're not going to do that, don't do it with us as well. All right. Use your interactions with us in a way in order to understand, like, what's needed as well. Okay. See, right now, if you're not focusing on GRE, then I don't think you are very serious about going for masters. All right, I'll be very honest. That might be a very, a blanket statement, right? But no, in the month of April, May, June, you better get your GRE done. Because if not, then I 100% promise that you probably may not be going to the top universities. You might be going to some university, but not the top university. All right. Now you can say, like, how dare you say this statement? I can say that because we are having proof of it from so many of our students. Okay. And this is not told in a bad manner, but it's told in a manner to make sure that you are like spending your energies and focus on the right things at the right time. All right. Super. So with this, we kind of like come to the most critical items right now. And we are going to, have this most critical exercise next time. Okay. See, for this to happen, I need something from you all. You should have like filled out the form. My team member will just quickly put it. Let me see if he can just share it with you. 1 minute. One second, folks. Okay. So you have to note one thing, that for the we need this form filled by you, the form that was there from last time. Okay, so we're putting that form in chat so that you can. So this is a form that you guys should have filled out. And it opens up like this. It's nothing but a super simple form where you are just giving us your preferences. Okay, so you're going to say, like, please don't do it like this, but you can just give us like a few details, but you're going to share like the countries that you're applying. That's all we are asking. It's a very simple form, hardly takes 2 minutes to fill out. We really need this. Some of you have not filled it out. Request you to please do it and then share with us immediately so that we can help you with the most critical exercise, which is like providing you a list of schools so that you can go through it and then start working on shortlisting the programs next month. Okay. So now there's a very good question, like, like for my course, I don't need GRE. See, I'll tell you one thing. If for some reason you change your mind and you're going to the US, anything in the US needs a GRE. All right. Mostly in Europe and some of the other countries you don't. But you also have to understand that you need to have the right skill set to get into Europe. Europe needs a lot more research experience, academic excellence, and all that. So it is not easy to get into European universities. All right. The competition is also a lot more. So you have to keep that in mind. So if you're not taking the GRE, it's not like, oh, it's easy for me to get in. What you should be also open to is you should also be very open to some other really lower ranked schools which don't need a GRE. So that's why we say, like, if you have a doubt, take the test. Why? Because it prepares you for grad school. That's what its purpose is. Okay. All right. Super. So if you ask me what you should be doing, the one thing that will move your needle will be the GRE score. However bitter it is, it is something that you'll have to take it up. All right. So see, that's why you please fill out the forms, okay, and show us like why you have the profile to get into those universities, and we can help you to figure out like what is needed for you to get into those schools. All right. So please note that a plan has been given to you. Now, if you're going to deviate from the plan, then you need to really have good reasons as to why you want to deviate from the plan. And then how are you going to come back to the plan later on? All right. See, this is where, guys, you start becoming adults. This is not like a spoon feeding that can happen. You have your reasons, perfectly fine, amazing, but be very clear as to what the consequences are as well. All right. See, because one thing that we heard a lot from last time is like a student saying that, oh, we thought that we could balance many things together, but we really couldn't. And I agree about it. Because if you come and say, oh, I'll do GRE later, right? But what will you do? In July, August, September, you'll be working on applications. How can you do everything together? That'll be like a little tough, isn't it? So that's why, like, in the next 6 months, make sure that your use of time is really, really good. And then accordingly, you are like, working towards it. Okay. Next time, I really hope that if you didn't have a chance to do so before, you will start working on all these courses and everything else, the quizzes, the multiple things that are needed. We answered most of the questions at the moment, and we looks like we are kind of like out of time, I believe. So with that, thanks everybody for your patient listening. I really value some of your questions, and I have like a couple questions which I couldn't answer at the moment, which we have taken a note of, and we're going to send you a mail about it. Okay. So with that, thanks everybody, and have a good break. I think Ramadan and Tamil New Year and Baishaki and other things are happening on 14th. So wish you a good break, but use this break towards your career, and hope to see you in the next workshop. See, by the way, I hope that you guys will finish the worksheets that are assigned to you today and have it ready as well. So see you all later. Take care. Bye.